Meet the big icicle, Torpedo Jones. 2 laps ahead in the top race of the year, and he runs out of gas. He could lose this race. But is he excited? Now he's in a hurry, but he isn't taking unnecessary chances. He wants to win a couple of more championships, then retire and run a little chicken farm. Pretty risky business, chicken farming. Fella can lose his shirt. There's the checkered flag. Torpedo does it again. That makes it 3 in a row. And it couldn't happen to a nicer guy. You have to know Torpedo to know there's something more behind that grin than the thrill of another championship. It so happens that every time Torpedo wins a race, he saves a bunch of lives. That statement can be explained as follows. Off the speedway, Torpedo spends most of his time trying to persuade amateur drivers to drive like professionals. He believes amateur drivers make the highways a lot more dangerous than the speedways. If Torpedo's scared easy, some of the amateur driving he sees would curl his hair. He says some amateurs don't like to read signs and won't even learn from other amateurs' mistakes. Torpedo feels sad enough when he sees grown-up amateurs, but he gets downright melancholy when he sees young drivers going haywire. That's why he travels around the country talking to people just starting out behind the wheel. He knows that if they learn to drive like pros, the highways will someday be safe for everybody. Torpedo wears the big smile when he wins a race because he knows a champ is always welcome wherever he goes.
Well, I promised you earlier this semester that you'll have an opportunity to hear a guest speaker. And today's the day. But before introducing him, let me review briefly what we've covered so far. We began with a study of the importance of highway transportation in the United States, how the increasing use of trucks has helped the growth of commerce, and how the automobile has made it possible for all of us to go beyond the borders of our towns and cities in search of business, pleasure, and recreation. You found out how important it is to drive a car with consideration for the other fellow on the highway, courtesy and good sportsmanship. You found out our emotions, anger, happiness, worry, can make us dangerous drivers if we let those emotions show themselves in the way we handle a car. Are you through shifting gears, Mr. Oldfield? In road practice outside, on the driving area, and on the quiet side streets of town, you learned the simple fundamentals. The instruments in the driver's compartment. You tested the car's controls. And I kept close tabs on you in our dual control training car. You practiced starting and stopping. You learned how to back properly, make turns, and park parallel. And I've tried to get across the fact that driving a car is a two-handed job. However, there's one thing you can't learn in theory, and that's wheel sense. That special knack of handling a car as if you are part of the car and the car is part of you. But I know you're all anxious to meet our guest, a man who has won 3 national championships in automobile racing. He's still in one piece. Mr. Ralph Torpedo Jones. Mr. Jones.
You know, Torpedo would rather lose a wheel going 2 miles a minute than make a speech. But you'd never know it when you hear him talking about wheel sense. What's wheel sense? Well, Torpedo says it's when you're courteous to the other driver and a good sport about his unintentional mistakes. When you can keep tight control of your car and handle it smartly in a jam. When you know stopping distances. When you know and use proper hand signals. And when you can spot the telltale actions that telegraph what pedestrians and other drivers are going to do before they do it. Torpedo is one of those Phi Beta Kappas when it comes to studying drivers. He watches them by the hour, so he can tell people who want to develop wheel sense how to spot people who don't. Watch out for the cutworm, says Torpedo. He wants the piece of road you're occupying, so he'll cut you right off the road in his rush to get somewhere. Where he goes, you wouldn't want to be. But like most amateurs, he'll have an alibi.
When I drive, I keep moving, see? The head of the line, that's for me. I don't like to poke along behind the string of cars, so I cut in front and set the pace at the head of the line.
Then there's the amateur torpedo calls the Bush League batter. Throw him a curve and he strikes out. All the way up. After it's over, this kind passes the buck and starts an argument.
I hope you noticed, Mac, that I beat you to that curve by a country mile. And I also got here first.
As a matter of fact, Shorty, I got here first. But who cares? If it hadn't been for you passing on a curve, I'd be watching a ball game right now.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Torpedo often talks about drivers he calls part-time amateurs. They know how to drive like professionals, but they lose their wheel sense under pressure. Like people who get into their cars on the wrong side because they're in a big hurry. Then they get absent-minded, get mad at the car, the other guy, and themselves. They get so deep in their own stew, they talk to themselves. And then they pass up required reading matter, such as stop signs. All of a sudden, one thing leads to another. Followed by the usual useless post-mortem.
Well, I can drive just as well when I'm in a hurry as when I'm not. My husband was waiting for his dinner. I see why people can't realize that other people might be in a hurry and not insist on the right of way all the time. After all, there is such a thing as courtesy.
At this point, Torpedo switches the subject from amateurs who are out of this world to professionals who have to face it. Pros understand speed and control and know how to put them together. For example, here's something that could happen to any driver. In this case, nobody got hurt, but the arithmetic of speed and control is surprising, as Torpedo demonstrates. On a level stretch of dry pavement, the driver is doing 35 miles an hour when he sees the boy on the road up ahead. It takes him 1 second to recognize the danger and get his foot on the brake. With his four-wheel brakes in good condition, his car traveled 67 feet before coming to a complete stop. Let's do a retake, says Torpedo. In the reaction time, 1 second, 51 feet of pavement slide under the car. Then, with the brakes on hard, it takes 67 feet to stop cold. 51 plus 67 equals 118.